Yeah, really excited. We've had great practices. I think we're practice maybe number 8 or number 9, and just to kind of give you Mac and Sheil have been at every practice. They're evaluating coaches, evaluating players, and Sheil comes up after the last practice. He said, "Man, the energy at this place is just incredible." And I said, "Well, we feel like we have a good schedule. We've got enough practices to get all our game plan in, so we keep it short. We try to practice fast and have a lot of energy, and so we feel really good about where we're at. We know it's going to be a really tough game." One point that I made to our team was the team that wants to practice the most and wants to play in this game the most is the team that's going to win. And, you can't look and read about who's not playing and think that it's going to be an easy game. And my example was, and it was an easy example to use, is Will Hammond. If anybody that has been around this young man or has seen him practice doesn't think that he is not fired up about this football game, you haven't noticed what kind of person he is. And so whenever you're thinking about that, a lot of times you're like, well, Josh Kelly's not playing in the game, so are we going to take a step back? Well, whoever's going to be in that spot is fired up to play in that spot. So they have had great practices. We're going to use Jalen Conyer in that spot. We're going to use Kelby in that spot. We're going to use Jordan Brown in that spot. So, when you look at stuff like that, I always say the guys that are excited about playing, you go back to the Liberty Bowl a couple years ago, Arkansas had 9 starters out of that game and beat Kansas, and a really good Kansas team. It was one of the better bowls, if you remember, because they went into double overtime. But right now, some guys are getting some opportunities to practice and play a lot more, and so they're going to take advantage of it. So I'm excited about it. I know our guys are excited about it. It's going to be a great game. It should be a really good atmosphere. Probably going to be a home field advantage for them being so close, so we need all the Red Raiders to get their tickets and show up and, get excited, because it's a very exciting time. I know I'm going to have another opportunity to talk about 2025, but I know everybody's following social media and what's going on, and, man, it's a great day to be a Red Raider. And I appreciate our fan base for doing what they're doing, for getting behind this team, for getting behind the Matador Club, for getting behind everything that's going on in that world. But right now we're really focused on – I'm having to focus on a lot of different things, and it's fun, and we're not sleeping a lot right now in this building, but it's awesome. But this team's focused on beating Arkansas, so we'll be ready to go. So with that, open up for any questions. Oh, Nate's going to beat you. All right. Hey, I'm glad that you got it, because he'll forget you. I won't. You know that.
We know the drill. But
yeah.
I was about to get in early. Well, you mentioned your schedule with the portal and everything happening at the same time as bowl prep now. What does your day-to-day kind of look like right now?
It's a lot of coaches, are talking about a lot of different things. For me, it's a little bit less hectic than last year, because last year – we hadn't signed. Now, we probably have at this point, but there was a point where the portal was open. We hadn't signed our high school class. We could be on the road recruiting, and we were trying to get ready for a bowl game. And so at least with this, they closed December, so December's dead. Now, the bad thing about that, I'm missing a really good West Texas team in the state game right now as we were walking. I don't know what the score is. It was 21-14. It looked like Stanford was about to score. We're missing those games, but it's less hectic because I'm concentrating on 2 things versus 3. But we've had a recruit on campus every day for the last 2 weeks, and we have been practicing. I think that's helped us because they've seen the nature of our practice. I always think that helps because you get to see coaches coach. So right now it's a little bit less hectic because we gave the guys 3.5 days off. So anybody that could get back home for Christmas, this is their Christmas time. We were able to do that 2 years ago when we played in the Texas Bowl. And so we'll practice Saturday, we'll practice Sunday, we'll travel Monday, we'll practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and play on Friday. So we'll get back into a normal week. But we've practiced. Once we knew we were in bowl practice, we practiced some sort of football almost every day.
And you mentioned Jordan Brown. How many of the guys in the portal that are expected to leave you do you expect to kind of play for you in this game?
The one thing that and again, it's whatever a philosophy for a coach is, it is what it is. I've heard some people say, once they go in, then they're off the team, and there's other people. My philosophy is everybody that's on this football team from the 2024, they earn the right to play in this game. And so if they choose to play in this game, I'm going to back it. And, because what we're trying to do, number one, we're trying to win this game, and we're trying to end 2024 on a great note. They were a part of that. They helped us get to where we're at. And so after that, some guys are going to be leaving, and I'm going to be a part of their life for the rest of their life and wish them luck. But right now, like Brady's been practicing, Jordan's been practicing, Trey McAlpin's been practicing. They've all told me that they're going to play in the bowl game. Caden Carr, trying to think of guys that haven't off the top of my head. My brain will work here in a minute on that part of who's not. Drake Strong's playing in the game, so he's our number 2 quarterback. Our number 3 quarterback is Jalen Conyers. So y'all have seen Jalen, so that package has grown a lot, so I'm excited about that. So the majority of our guys that are in the portal are going to play in the bowl game. It's kind of like last year. I mean, perfect example is Loic is visiting one place and then scoring a touchdown and then going to that place after he graduated from Texas Tech. Our philosophy is totally different. Like, to give you an example, Loic committed and went to Vandy and played at Vandy. But he played in the game, played in the game, and stayed, and we paid to make sure he could graduate from Texas Tech and get his degree that spring, and then he went to Vandy. And so we're just trying to do it different because it's bigger than just football, and these guys have done a lot for this university, so we're not going to turn our back on them.
Are you expecting Taj to play in the bowl game?
He has been at every practice. That's something that, I tell those guys, like Josh Kelly, if he hadn't got to 1,000 yards, he would have played in the bowl game. He and I both talked about it before the game. That little notebook that I usually have that y'all probably see me writing in, I was actually doing some math in that book to get him to 1,000 yards because I wanted him to get to 1,000 yards and not play in the bowl game, just from the standpoint of, I knew that it would be better for him, and he was pretty banged up by the end of the season. But Taj has been at every practice. That's a decision that he said, Coach, as closer and closer we get to the game, I'll make that decision. And so if he does, of course, that's going to be incredible. If he doesn't, then we're going to see Jacoby Williams and we're going to see Cam Dickey, who's getting a lot. I mean, he was in there rehabbing this morning, and he said he felt great. And then, again, we've got some special things for Jalen Conyers, so he might be in the backfield too. So, we're going to do everything we can to go win this game.
You mentioned the portal, obviously, the craze that's happened in the past, or since it opened for y'all. It's news from coast to coast, what y'all are doing in the transfer portal. A couple of weeks ago, you said 10 was the number. Now, obviously, it's bigger.
Yeah.
What's gone into the change? And then also, what is the role the Matador Club and Cody Campbell has played in this all these big additions?
Yeah, it starts out with a statement, I will. I almost wore a shirt that Zane made me that actually has the tweet of I will and Cody's picture here and everything like that. Some of the change was losing guys, like whenever you're sitting there and you're like, hey, we're good here, and then all of a sudden we lose a guy, and it's like, okay, we have a spot. There's a really good player here. It helps us. So that's kind of been it, just to give you an idea where we're at. We want a kicker and we want to run it back, and then we'll take a big, deep breath, reevaluate where we're at, and feel like we're in a good spot. But those are the two. The Matador Club, our fan base, Cody Campbell, John Sellers, Dusty Womble, Gary Peterson. I don't want to miss anybody, but that crew, Tim Culp, Mark McDougal, the guys that have been behind the Matador Club. And, Cody has been the guiding force behind this. There's one more thing that's happening in college football right now, and that's from right now until I think it's April, to where you still can take advantage of NIL, and then you're going to shift into revenue sharing, and so the Matador Club has been really big behind that, and I talked to Cody the other day, and that's why I started out by saying thank you to the Red Raider Nation and all our fans, is because Cody says, man, every time something pops on social media, we're getting more and more people donating because everybody's so excited, and so it's a lot of fun. I think what's really cool too is we've got guys and families coming into this building, and you have the best facility in the country. They're at other places and they go, Coach, this doesn't even compare to anything we've seen. And then you have a fan base like this that is so passionate that they want to be a part of. And so it's a really good selling point right now. But those guys have been absolutely incredible. Yeah, I can't thank them enough.
Coach, kind of on that same vein and roster building and long-term stuff, what's your thoughts on the JUCO years thing, where guys can play a couple years of JUCO now and still maintain 4 years of eligibility? And how do you think that affects high school recruiting?
Yeah, all this is hurting high school recruiting more and more. I was really shocked with that. It makes no sense to me that was passed, but we're not going to not try to take advantage of it. Again, like every rule that comes up, you got to find a way that it can help your team. I mean, a guy that's part of ours is Davion Carter, so we've got to sit down with Davion and say, let's talk through this. And of course, we got to get all the rules first. We've talked to compliance and trying to see. But I was really shocked. I struggle with that because I really don't understand. You were able to play football. You were able to, maybe you didn't do it at the same stage of able to make, but it wasn't like that. A JUCO can limit you from having an NIL like that. So some of this stuff, you have a lot of people making decisions that really, I don't know, understand everything about what's going on, but it's okay. I mean, like, again, if that's going to be the rule, then we're going to find a way to take advantage of it. And it could be that we keep a really good football player in Davion Carter. And so we'll see. But I was shocked. Like, there's a lot of things that you're like, man, I could see that coming, or that doesn't shock me because it makes sense. Being able to play, like, at what point does it end? Like, I asked, perfect example, Brian Nance is our director of player personnel, and I said, Nance, you might have another year left because you went to a prep school, and I don't know if we can count that. So maybe we need to go ahead and see if you can. He goes, Coach, I'm a little out of shape. I can't take any more snaps, and my knees are bad. But, like, at what point does some of this stuff, end, And I'm hoping, honestly, that I'm playing with some players that if you get to that point at that age that they're good enough to play in the NFL, and so they're trying to go play at that level, and that NIL is a whole different level. NIL takes care of itself. But we'll find out how we can take advantage of it and see if we can't become a better football team.
Question about Arkansas. Could you talk about what Taylon Green does for their offense and what kind of quarterback he is and just what they do offensively?
Yeah, what a great kid from Louisville. Watched him, grow up, watched him play in high school, and remember him at Boise State. And he's scary because he's a dual threat. They do a lot of different stuff with him on 3rd and short and 4th and short. That's something that we have to do a great job. Is we got to be disciplined. If we're not chasing the hill line, we've got to be able to sit and surf and make sure he's handing the ball off. They're going to run some different quarterback game with him, and we've got to do a good job that whoever has those gaps or whoever has him responsibility-wise, takes him. I mean, he's special. I mean, when he said he was coming back and playing in the game, it changes a lot. He's a really good football player.
So you all head out Monday, which means you'll be spending the holiday season in Memphis. And I was just wondering if you guys have any special plans for Christmas with the team.
We we'll have Christmas dinner. We did this, at the Texas Bowl. We'll see if Pat can get a good, our social media team can get a good video of this. But one of my favorite things, I learned this from Mike Saravo when we were at Baylor, is we print out the 12 days of Christmas, and every position's got a day, and it's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite traditions to do, of everybody singing, and it gets all the way down. And we did it at the Texas Bowl. The players loved it, and so we'll do that, and and we'll practice. I mean, it's a fun time to be practicing football, and watching a lot of football. There's going to be some great games. There's already been some really good bowl games, and some more coming. But that's kind of the tradition. We'll have Christmas dinner as a team, and then we'll sing the 12 days of Christmas. We'll have Santa there, so if any of the players want to get, pictures with them and everything like that. And then we try to do a Christmas gift for all the players.
And then for a long road trip like this, what are maybe some of your essentials that you take with you?
Well, we're packing early. One deal's going, Saturday. One truck's going out Saturday, then the next truck will go out Sunday, and that'll be the normal truck that we go, and travel with throughout the season. But you're taking extra stuff for practice. You usually don't have to, on these trips of a regular season game, you don't have to take your practice gear and everything like that. And man, I'm pretty simple. I'm probably going to be at practice and watching bowl games and relaxing in the hotel room. And I know the guys will let them hang out, a couple of nights. I mean, we try to treat them like men, and they've done a great job in the bowl games that we've been a part of doing that. But I really don't have anything special other than I'll have to take a couple extra loops of clothing for practice.
One little special road trip snack, nothing like that?
So in my room, I always have chips and salsa and gummy bears. I'm a big gummy bear fan, so usually have gummy bears. In fact, I ate a pack last night watching UNLV in California. So I have a sweet tooth.
Go to Don. What kind of gummy bears?
Oh, just the regular, normal. I don't even know what they are. But yeah, there we go.
Joey, you said you touched on this a moment ago when we were talking about the portal. You said, 3 weeks or so ago, 10 to 12 was the number. Now you're at 15. Still want a running back. Still want a kicker. What do you see as a max number, or would you take 24 if you get enough yeses?
No, once we get those two, I feel like we'll be in a really good spot, and again, we'll have addressed our needs and wants, and then we'll take a deep breath and kind of evaluate the roster of where we're at, because those are the two. I feel like everywhere we've gone, and then there's probably one or two that you sit there and you go, man, this kid is probably too good to pass up, and so you can't say no. But we're really, once we in the next couple of days, if we can fill those spots, then we'll take a deep breath. The good thing, it works out perfect. We have been really lucky because it's about to go dead, and there's a really good chance that we have completed our roster when it goes dead. So we're not going to be the team that has to have visits at the 1st of January, which will be awesome because that would give the coaches a little time off, because they haven't had any time off right now because of the amount of recruiting we're doing. So that would be good for their families.
With the portals open through the 28th, the day after the bowl game, and the number of guys that you are over 105 for next year, do you anticipate? Do you have a feel for guys who are here right now? How many might portal in the next week, or how many do you think are guys who are frankly kind of on the bubble that are going to take their chances and stay through spring?
Yeah, you got a mixture. I don't know the exact number, but I mean, I think there'll be a couple of guys. It wouldn't surprise me before the 28th that we might have one or two more guys that go in the portal. And then there are some guys that are trying to decide. They have a year left. They're trying to decide, are they going to play another year? older guys. There are guys that graduate in the spring and they want to graduate as a Red Raider, and so they want to take their chance of making the 105. And that's the one thing I don't think whenever it comes to the 105 that anybody doesn't feel like they've had a great conversation with me to exactly where they're at and what they have to do to be in the 105. You know, again, we try to be really upfront and transparent with them and let them make a decision. You know, I don't want to be a coach that, you know, is kind of playing with some of these guys. There's going to be a lot of coaches that do it just try to protect themselves through spring and stuff like that, and that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to, you know, give our guys the best information and let them decide. You know, and there could be some that we don't want to get in, they get in. You know, like I've been listening to all these coaches, and they're making great points. You know, they're making incredible points. I mean, it's funny, though. I mean, I listened to one coach, and he was talking about the portal, and then I guess he got in the portal because he got a new job. And he was complaining about the portal, but then, you know, he left that job for another job, you know, and that's how this was created, right? Like for so long, everybody was pissed that players couldn't leave, but coaches could. And now coaches are pissed because players can leave, I guess. I mean, it is what it is. You got to adapt. But the thing that's really happening right now when they talk about tampering and stuff like that, I don't think the majority, I think it's probably very few coaches calling players. You have right now agents that are shopping players. I promise you, there is a kid that's going to play in the national championship game that will be on another team the next week, and that deal is already done. And it's being done through the agents. So the tampering part is really not a coach tampering. It's you have agents. You don't have any control of that. I have no control of that. I said this the other day. I do think it's very important that at some point the NCAA is going to have to do exactly what the NFL is doing. And what the NFL is doing is if you're an agent in the NFL, you are certified through the NFL and you have credentials. And we don't have that. And I heard this. I don't know if this is a fact, but I think it's pretty close. There was a quarterback that signed a deal the other day that in that deal, the agent took 28.6% of that. That is criminal. Like that, number one, that could happen. And number two, it's crazy that kid actually did that. But that's what we're dealing with right now because you don't have people that are certified agents that have been vetted. And I've actually talked a lot to our guys to be very careful because whenever it does come to revenue sharing, a lot of times these agents really can't help you because it's a salary cap slot. Like if you're the number one draft pick in the NFL, you don't need an agent. Stop getting one because you already are slotted. This is what you're going to make. So why pay that guy 3% of what you're going to make? That's what it's already. So we've talked a lot to our guys of like saying like, hey, this is where you're probably going to be. Don't pay somebody else because it's not going to change. You know, it could change on some guys of how good you are and everything like that for the majority of guys. So don't pay somebody. And the stuff that we're hearing is 3 to 5 to 10%. And then again, from a pretty reliable source, I heard the 28.6, which is mind-boggling because I think that deal was in the millions. And so you just do the math on that.
Coach. Oh, go ahead, Don. I'm sorry.
You talked a little bit a few weeks ago about contracts and multi-year contracts and buyouts and all that sort of thing. Do you have a feel for how many guys do you envision how many guys on your team next year will be signed for more than 1 year?
You know, there's some definitely some position-wise you want to do that, you know, because again, like O-linemen, especially your young guys, you're still growing those guys up. So we'll talk. That'll be something that we'll start talking through with our guys this winter and spring to see, you know, who would want to do that. I think it's important. I think there's a great way to kind of start balancing college football back out. And that I really think that starts happening in July because there will be buyouts in there. There hadn't been a lot of pushback from what I understand in different places as far as the buyout, people talking about buyouts, because most of these people, if you have a legitimate agent, they understand the buyout part of it. I think that does protect your kid. You losing guys that you don't want to lose after 1 year if you have that in there, because now they're going to have to pay that buyout to even get them to where they end up in the portal. It'll be interesting. I mean, I think this first round we might have maybe 10% or maybe a little bit more. And then as it goes and as we grow, this whole system grows, I think you'll have more and more.
Coach, what concerns you about Arkansas defensively?
Well, they're a really good football team. The thing with them, I know a couple of their guys, like big number 5 is going to play. Their defensive line, he's really, really good. He's very physical, and he plays up and down the line. And so we're going to have to know where he's at. They can run. They're a fast defense. The thing that's probably going to help us, we've seen this structure a lot. They're an odd stack. They get into some 3-4, but they're an odd stack. We've seen a lot of that this year, from North Texas to Iowa State to West Virginia to Cincinnati. We've played well against that structure, really better than we had our first 2 years. And so we feel good, but it's also they're a good defense, and they played some really good football teams, and they beat some really good football teams. This is a team that beat Tennessee that's playing in the playoffs this week. So it's going to be a good game.
How much different do you think your offense will look, if any?
We're pretty, Juice has done a great job of putting a game plan together with the coaching staff, and, we're rolling with what we've done. We have some different stuff for a couple of different players, but it's not that it's going to look any different. They just might be in some different positions.
And what do you think Will Hammond's strength is for the most part?
Man, I put a smile on my face because it's fun right now being around that kid, because he's he and Barron have talked a lot, actually, and then Barron actually will be back tomorrow night. Well, I guess he's late tonight. I talked to him earlier this morning. And so I'll get to see him tomorrow, and he'll be at practice and everything. But Will, I think he gets the ball out really fast. I mean, he's got a quick release. He's got a really strong arm. The one thing that we haven't done a lot this year was, we haven't run our quarterback in certain situations, and that was, designed. I think he brings a little bit of that. He's not somebody that you want to we don't want to run the quarterback a bunch, but he'll bring that. And he's got a great man. He's one of those dudes that, like, everybody on this football team in this building loves Will Hammond. Like, he's just a guy that brings a lot of excitement. He prepares like a guy that's a 5th-year vet. He lives in this building, and he's really fired up, and that's always fun because that brings extra energy to practice. And a lot of times, that's going to be one of my jobs and one of Juice's jobs. We got to get him settled in. We've got to get him settled down because he's going to be fired up, And so we'll start out the game with telling him, like, hey, take a deep breath. Let's go have some fun, but you don't have to win this game by yourself. We're going to be all in it together.
I don't know how many of these guys you can talk about, but I'm assuming some of the ones that are official. Do you? If you don't, that's fine.
I don't.
Okay, that's good.
I do, but I don't, and I don't want to screw up and miss one and talk about the wrong one.
That's fine.
They're dudes. I'll just tell you that. Flat out dudes. I remember my good friend, Coach Tang at K-State. He goes, "You win with dudes," and I got to get some dudes, and so we got dudes. And I will tell you this: we got dudes on this team that are coming back. We got dudes that are going to play in this bowl game, and there's a lot of excitement with those guys too. They've been around these guys that have come in, and they're excited because it's only going to make them better, And I'll give you an example. And I could talk kind of maybe a little cryptic, but like Jacob Rodriguez, he goes, hey, Coach, bring me some big dudes that are, protecting me, and we got him some big dudes, And so that's fun. It's fun to see the excitement of the team and the guys coming in.
Along those lines, we know the expectations, but does it feel different now that you're getting all of these dudes and, maybe the expectation level isn't just winning a Big 12, it's maybe more?
Yeah, I think I've said this before, and, sometimes I think people are like, man, he's saying that to get us to drink the Kool-Aid and all that stuff. I mean, I say, y'all know me, I say stuff because I believe it. I say it because that's what we want. We want to win. It was really hard watching the Big 12 championship. That's been a message to some different guys that have come in and talked to me, that we've had some really good conversations of like, hey, Coach, where do I fit in what you're bringing in? And my message was, did we win the Big 12? The answer is no. If you stay the exact same, and you think something's going to change, y'all have heard this before from me too. It's a true definition of insanity. Like, you can't. And so no matter who comes in the building, my expectation is not going to change. And my disappointment level, if we do not meet that expectation, will never change. It might have been Cody. I know it was Kirby, but we were 6-4. And y'all I don't know if I've told you this before or not, but we're 6-4, and that was the best record we've had through 10 games since I've been here. And I said, man, I feel like a complete failure, because my expectation is to win the Big 12. And to do that, we got to get some more dudes, and we did. And now my job, and I talked, this is whenever I called Barron this morning, and we were talking. I said, Barron, and Jacob Rodriguez and Bryce Ramirez, like, now it happens every year because we've got 8 mid-year freshmen coming in, maybe 9, but 8 mid-year freshmen. So now you're trying to get them on the same page, and now we've got transfers coming in. And the part of my job is now to create a team and have great chemistry and have a great culture. Because the one thing that you will see, and I think y'all can do the research on this, is there's other teams out there that are doing the same thing we've done. And School A is the number 1 ranked team in the country. But there's other teams that are not in the playoffs that did the same thing, right? Well, in my opinion, Dan Lanning has created an incredible culture with great players. That's my job. And there's other people that haven't met those expectations, and I don't think it's because it's the talent. It goes back to the culture and the chemistry. And so that's why Barron and I were talking. I said, bro, I can't wait for you to get here. I really can't wait for everybody's here, but we need to sit down and talk, because your main job is to get this team right, like that we're all on the same page, we care about each other, and we love each other. And so that starts on January 14th, our first team meeting. But he and Jacob and Bryce, they're 3 returning captains. They got big shoes, or they've got some things that they got to really do to help me do that. All right. Thanks, Coach. All right. Thank y'all.